If a zombie outbreak collapsed global trade tomorrow, the safest country on Earth is probably not where you think. When borders close and cargo ships stop moving, survival comes down to 4 basics: food, fresh water, local power, and distance from dense crowds. 5 countries handle that test better than any others. Number 5, Japan. Japan handles disasters better than almost any nation on Earth. Its citizens train for earthquakes, tsunami walls line the coast, and public coordination is remarkably fast during emergencies. In an outbreak with slow, contact-spread infected, that discipline saves lives early on. Here is the fatal problem. Over 100 million people live packed along narrow coastal plains and hyper-connected rail networks. If an infection slips into the Tokyo subway system during morning rush hour, containment collapses in hours, not weeks. Once maritime shipping halts, the country faces an immediate food crisis because it imports over 60% of its calories. You might survive behind your apartment door with clean tap water, but the local grocery shelves will go completely bare within days. Japan has the organization to fight off a crisis, but it lacks the domestic farmland to outlast one. That is why New Zealand takes the next spot.
Number 4, New Zealand. New Zealand flips Japan's biggest weakness into its greatest weapon. With roughly 5 million people and enough pasture to feed 40 million, starvation is simply not on the table. Its power grid runs largely on hydro dams and geothermal plants, and thousands of miles of rough ocean protect its coastline from outside infection. That sounds like paradise. It is not. New Zealand produces almost no domestic transport fuel and manufactures very few essential medicines. When global refineries go dark, farm tractors stop running, trucks cannot move milk, and the Cook Strait ferries connecting the North and South Islands run out of diesel. If a water main breaks or a power substation fails, technicians will not have spare imported parts to fix it. You might have plenty of beef and clean mountain river water, but you will quickly be stranded on foot in the dark. Canada ranks higher because it can fuel its own rescue.
Number 3, Canada. Canada gives survivors something an island nation never can: endless physical space. If major cities fall, you can head north into millions of square miles of boreal forest, freshwater lakes, and massive grain belts. Canada pumps its own oil, refines its own diesel, and produces immense hydroelectric power. Even better, months of freezing temperatures naturally slow down infected movement in the wild. However, Canada has 2 massive liabilities. First, nearly 90% of its population lives right against the southern border, directly in the path of panic pouring out of the United States. Second, extreme winter is a double-edged sword. If the regional power grid fails during a January blizzard, a sub-zero house becomes just as deadly as an infected horde outside your window. Surviving Canada requires heavy fuel, complex furnaces, and relentless wood chopping. Iceland beats Canada because it keeps people warm without burning a drop of oil.
Number 2, Iceland. Iceland is nature's ultimate fortress against a biological threat. It sits alone in the freezing North Atlantic, surrounded by hundreds of miles of rough water. More importantly, geothermal steam pumps boiling water and endless clean heat directly into homes across the island. Even if the entire modern world collapses, your house stays warm through the winter without chopping a single log or running a generator. You can live on local fisheries and geothermal greenhouses indefinitely. Why does Iceland fall short of the top spot? Scale and variety. Iceland has fewer than 400,000 residents, meaning it cannot manufacture basic antibiotics, heavy machinery, or vehicle tires. If an outbreak starts in Reykjavik, the entire national population is concentrated right around that single harbor. A single bad cluster puts nearly everyone at immediate risk. To take the top spot, a country must combine ocean moats, unlimited fuel, massive farmland, and deep continental space. Only one nation has all 4. Number 1, Australia. Australia is the ultimate survival sanctuary. It is an entire continent surrounded by ocean, giving its defense forces complete control over incoming shipping.
Unlike small islands, Australia is a global giant in agriculture and energy. It grows massive surpluses of wheat and cattle while sitting on enormous coal, gas, and renewable power reserves. Life would still be tough. Most Australians live in crowded coastal cities, and heading into the arid outback carries severe risks of heat stroke, bushfires, and water shortages. If you flee into the desert without planning, the dry heat will kill you faster than any infected. But Australia gives you vast agricultural river valleys and regional towns where communities can grow food, maintain power, and defend open ground indefinitely. It combines island isolation with the industrial muscle of a self-sustaining continent. True survival is not about building an underground bunker. It is about living where clean water, power, and food keep running when global trade dies. Which country would you trust with your life?